Hello and welcome to another preview video. This time we will have a look at Dungeons of the Amber Griffin, which is a real-time step-based dungeon crawler game, just like in the old days. And it's developed by a Polish studio called Frozengem Studio. And maybe you have played Operencia by Zen Studios, which is an Hungarian studio, and they infused the game with some European folklore, which I guess is more Hungarian folklore, because I was not very familiar with that, and it reminded me more of like the Wizard of Oz stuff. But Dungeons of the Amber Griffin is also infused by some folklore, but it's Kashubian folklore. I was not familiar with that and I had to look it up on Wikipedia, and I suggest you do the same if it's not ringing any bells. It's folklore from the north of Poland, and it influences like the different classes and the monsters and stuff like that. So that will be interesting, and yeah, we will have a look at the demo version, which was now released in the Steam Next Fest. I'm not sure if it continues to be available or it's just like a limited time thing. And yes, it's still an early version. There are a couple of bugs in there, and I hope that they will be figured out until release, which is going to be, well, currently scheduled to be 2023. And with that, yeah, let's just jump into the game.
To the Dungeons of the Amber Griffin.
And here we are in the main menu, and you can actually hear one of the issues already. Sometimes the game is not saving the volume, so let me quickly adjust it again. Alright, I hope this is fine also with the recording. Sometimes it's saved, sometimes it's not. So here are the sound values. You can also change the language to Polish, and you have some graphics settings, pretty much standard, I guess. The game seems to be rather demanding. By the way, this is version 1.9 beta. So as soon as you start the game, the PC will actually ramp up quite a bit, but no issues in performance so far. So let's first have a look, after the settings, let's have a look at the instruction. So you have a keyboard layout on how to play. So you can play left-handed or right-handed. And what I find important is that you also have some way to play with both hands. And this is kind of an issue, or maybe a necessity, with real-time crawlers to maximize basically your dancing performance, but we will get into that a bit later. So you also have a bit of an instruction about the interface here, what is what, but you will also see that in the game. So let's start a new game. By the way, I will only show you a couple of things from this demo version. I will not kill every single enemy. I did that already, and if you're interested in a more thorough playthrough of the demo version, then you can find that linked down in the video description. But in this preview, I will now only show you a few sections about everything, so that you have a good overview. So let's start a new game. And here you can find the different game modes. I mean, tutorial is self-explanatory. The music journey, there you have some music from a real band, I think, in the background, and then you have a limited amount of time to kill as many enemies as possible to collect some stuff or something time related. We will not look into that. It would also probably not be that interesting, because it's just like killing enemies all the time. Puzzles and speedrunning, they are deactivated for now. Run through tunnels full of traps, but it's interesting that it's in the game. Solve puzzles and get unique items. And we have the story mode, and this is what we will look into now. So we can create a party out of 4 characters. These characters have 4 stats and 4 attributes, which are depending on the stats. So you can see that strength is increasing the capacity and the damage. Dexterity is increasing the accuracy, constitution is increasing the hit points here, and intelligence is increasing the mana. And actually dexterity is also increasing the dodge value. So, and in addition to the stats, of course, you also have classes and you have origins. The classes, while they sound a bit weird, that is due to the Kashubian names, they are very easily identified to a known equivalent. So the Richards or something is a classic warrior, as you can see. So the very first phrase in the class description usually gives also the explanation, but I would call it a knight in this case, as you can also clearly see from the picture. Then you have the Dulas, which is smart guy, right? This is a rogue. Then you have the Leman, a peasant who can handle Scythia as well as, yeah, you can probably also see that better on the picture here. That's a kind of a mercenary or light armor a warrior. You have the Guslin, a druid. You have the Barge, which is a barbarian. The Zerka, which is a priest. Yachtdorts or something, that's a hunter. The Kutin as mage, and the Maga, which is a necromancer. And now we will just put together a party of one knight, and we will take this guy, then we will take one mercenary, and we will take, you can have male, female and unknown. We will take female, and I will just also take the picture which you can see here. Then we will have a priest, which is this, and we will have, let's take a hunter. Basically, because this game is a real-time dancing combat, the back rows probably don't matter. So as I mentioned, I played through the demo already, and one of the guys in the back I didn't use at all, and the other one I used one time for healing. So you basically only use the both front people, which is unfortunately a result of a crawler which is in real time, and it happens the same way in Grimrock, by the way, Legend of Grimrock, the first one. If you play it efficiently with dancing around the enemy, you will not get hit, and you will not, pretty much not use the characters in the back. All right. So unless you use some macros, but these I didn't use, so I just used the options which are available from the game itself. All right, so these were the classes, and then we have an origin, and the origin is also some backstory. There is some mentioning of the weapons. I'm not sure if that actually has any impact on the weapon or not, but it has influence on the attributes. So 2 of the attributes are increased by 1 point, so it's not a huge deal. And both of the melee characters pretty much profit from strength, dexterity and constitution. So if I wanted to get the optimum from that, I would probably take a wheelet, which is increasing the strength and the dexterity value, because I don't really need more hit points on intelligence. And in theory I could do the same here, and for the back row it's probably the best, if you want to play him as efficient as possible, it's probably the best to take intelligence and constitution, because strength and dexterity is probably useless. You will want to have as much mana and hit points as possible, so we take Venet and Velet, but of course you can take whatever you want. These few points will not make a big difference. So now you can put your remaining points. I think you have 2 points. Yeah, you have 2 points left. You can put that, for example, into damage, so that that you can kill your enemies quicker, and the mage will get more intelligence. Actually, this was a hunter, so we will not take this, but we will take, I don't know, let's take a Hun. All right, enter dungeon. They do actually also have names. Tomasz, Roman, let's call her Sarah, and Katarzyna, Katarzyna or something, probably, okay. And let's call him Jake. All right, so we have our troop. Apparently I forgot to put the points in here. All right, so this guy only has 57% accuracy, which is not a lot. So it's the first time I'm trying out the bow guy, but we will see how efficient that is. You can read that and pause the video, but I will skip it now. The voice is professional, but it is kind of slow, and the pronunciation is always like, and then the new Kashubians arrived. So it's a very, yeah, a bit stereotypical and maybe a bit overdone, but it sounds professional, it's fine. And we are basically starting as kind of a mercenary group, adventurer group out for treasure. So yeah, now you can see our party of four people in the bottom right. You see some blinking interface thingies in the top, and we will look at these right away. But before we do that, we first need to be aware that even if we open the menu or anything like that, the game will continue to run. So it might happen that while we are looking into one of these things, and by the way, if I click on that, I don't get any warning. I will just start to rest, which is probably not a good thing to do. But if I open the inventory, or if my whole view is blocked by something else like this, the bestiary, so here you can, as soon as you killed a new enemy of any kind, you will see a description here. We will look into that in a bit later. Yeah, the enemy will still attack, and you will probably hear that from the noise, and then you will need to get out of that and fight. So the spellbook is for, well, you guessed it, spells. So in this we can go through all our spellcasters and decide which spells we want to learn. And because she's a healer, I will just go for health. I don't, in a crawler which is real-time and dancing based, I don't see any point in taking blessings or anything like that, because you will not have any time using them in combat anyways, unless you use them before the combat. If you have a hard combat where it's hard to dance around the enemy, then you might want to use it, or if you run out of stamina or something like that, then you might want to use it. But in this case, I don't see any point of that. We will just use healing skills. We need to rest once in order to get them. But that's about it. So she's the only one who has any spells. And then we have the last button, which is for abilities. And I suspect that this is highly to be done. Because this makes no sense. There seem to be tons of bugs, and yeah, overall it just seems completely unfinished. But I will just quickly go through that. So apparently we have a point already to distribute, which you can't see. You have 4 trees, and you need to take the first one in order to get further down. Unfortunately, this makes pretty much no sense if you take her, for example. So she can either decide to take 200 weapons, 200 swords, or 200 axes, and this 200 axes is a requisite for getting one-handed long swords, and the 2-handed swords is a prerequisite to get to hammer fight. This makes no sense. There is like some pole arm bonus of 60%, while everything else is just doing 20%. And this also seems to be bugged, because whatever you moused over first will also be displayed here. Even though it's short sword, it's now increasing, let's say sword 2-handed, it's doing a damage bonus, or let's strength. Now it's increasing the strength for short sword. So this makes, it's probably completely in works and not finished at all. And I'm not, maybe this is actually increasing that. We can distribute a point, but I think that's it. Even on level up, you will not get anything. So it probably won't matter what we take here, but I'm not sure. So we take this bow accuracy 30%. All right. The mages, it's a bit weird. Mages do not have talents. I think that's unnecessary. I think it would be nice if mages also had them, but yeah. All right. So let's see if yeah, we actually got this accuracy from the talents. So now he's up to 87 actually. That's insane. All right. Okay. So you can see they have, so everything regarding the interface, graphics and so on is, I think, very well done. It looks nice. The environment looks nice. The interface looks nice. Like the icons and so on, they also look nice. By the way, you can also rearrange the positions. You have icons over here. So for example, here's in the bottom right, and you can switch positions to that. And now, yeah, it's a third position actually. So there are some enemies, and yeah, let's try and kill that first thingy. And you can see this is how dancing works, right? The enemy will never be able to hit me if I don't do anything stupid. And now, yes, we have the bestiary, and now you can read about the boar thing, forest monster. All right. But because we will never be hit anyways in combat, it also makes no sense to actually increase any defense values for the front characters, which means that using a shield makes no sense, and we should maximize our damage here. This is also why I wouldn't increase constitution. It just makes no sense. Just put everything into damage. One more thing, or two more things actually. We have this as the map, and this is actually only a snippet from the whole map. I will put, yeah, I will put this in edit. You will see it now, where I put in the full map of the game. So I think the map is very well done, or it looks very nice from the graphics. And yeah, it feels like you really want to explore the surrounding here, the different zones. Yeah, this is not a game where you can freely move around in terms of no loading screens or anything like that. There are separate zones for each area, which is fine with me. But of course, a completely open world would have been even better. All right, let's get back to the inventory and stuff. One thing which is also a bit weird and is that usually you would assume that any weapon has a damage and a cooldown timer, right? So if I swing a weapon like this, it takes some time until the cooldown is ready again. And let's switch to the other character, and I use them at the same time, and you can see that these are increased simultaneously. But if we take and I think somewhere there's a dagger thing. If I use this one as this is a quicker weapon, and if I use that, now you can see that the cooldown of this weapon is going up faster, which is totally fine, but it's not in the tooltip. So right now it's basically impossible to compare items. You would always need to equip them and then do a test attack to compare it with another weapon and to see if it's actually more. So if two weapons have the same damage, but one weapon is faster than the other, then of course the faster weapon is better. In general though, because you're dancing around the enemy, you will profit from slow weapons which have the same DPS as fast quick weapons. because you will reduce the amount of contact to the enemy, right? So it's better to approach once and attack and then go back, wait a bit and approach again, then it's to dancing, because that gives you additional, well, points of failure, so to say. All right, we are at an NPC, which is nice to have in the game. So we actually do have some icon here on the top, which is probably for quests, but this is not in yet. And we can talk to Miroslava, and she will tell us about her beloved Thomas, who went picking mushrooms, and we are supposed to find him and maybe bring message of him to her, maybe find his corpse or anything like that. There was also a dialogue regarding the rain, by the way. It's not raining inside, which is nice. There was also, she was mentioning the rain. If you happen to rest outside, she will still talk about the rain. So no matter if it rains or not, but the rain will normally trigger before you run into the building. So I mentioned that it's a bit tedious to look into the character, to click into the inventory every single time. So you should really consider pressing I, because this will make things much quicker. So this is an item which I don't quite get the point of. This dagger. This is for level 3 Maga, and we don't have a Maga, but even if we had one, he wouldn't be able to use it because it's just level 1. And in addition, you would need to be in the front line to use a dagger, so I'm not sure what the point is. But yeah, we also have an identify scroll, and we can use that to identify the ring. And you can see that this ring is cursed. It's reducing dexterity and strength, but it's increasing the dodge value. All right. So let's get out of there and continue exploring. And this is probably a bug now that we have this. Yeah, okay, now it's gone. All right, so let's get back to exploring, and you can see that there are more creatures running around, and I will now not kill every single enemy. I just want to show you a bit like how combat works, and it's actually rather quick. You don't need to hit an enemy 1,000 times, so that is nice. Even though I do not like the combat system and the dancing at all, if the game is not too strongly focused on combat and it's more like a thing connected to the exploration part, then I guess I can live with that. And so far, I think with this game, it's right at the edge where it might become annoying. They're actually stronger than some of the enemies you will face afterwards. And you can see that I never used the ranger so far, and I will probably never use it. And now I will go back to to showing you the controls of the game. So, instruction. As I mentioned before, you can play with the left hand or your right hand, but I guess the best way to play it is to play with both hands on your keyboard and not using the mouse unless you are exploring. Why is that? Because that way you can either use the right hand to move around, or of course the left hand to move around, and I decided for using the right hand to move. So this is my right hand to move around, and I'm using the left hand for pressing 1 and 2. 1 and 2. So I can run around and attack at the same time. And that way I will not ever be hit by any enemy. And to go one level further, and I will switch back to the overview here. You can also switch to the next active hero by pressing the tab key and to the previous one by shift key. Now shift for the left hand I think is a bit annoying to use, and you cannot customize your controls yet. Maybe you can do that later. But I would use tab to switch to the next character. Now you could do this and switch through all 4 characters, which is fine, but if you are more experienced, you will probably do the following. You will use this, and then you press the minus key on the right hand side to move back to the previous character. So that way you can attack with this character, switch over to the next character, and then switch over to the previous character with the minus key. And that way you can completely keep your both hands on the keyboard and basically maximize your attack rate and your agility while dancing around the enemy. It does need...
A new page has appeared in the bestiary.
Yeah, you will need to get used to it a bit, but I am pretty sure that is the most efficient way to do the combat. Even though you can see it with my combat, I am not too used to it myself, because yeah, it is a bit unintuitive to go back with the other hand, and it does also not really look like you really need it, because the enemies are rather slow usually, so you really have to mess up in order to get hit. So it's still pouring quite a bit. So let's get into another shack here, and here we got some baker and he's selling some bread. And he will give us a quest that we should kill some vermin on his fields. But we will also buy some bread from him. We actually don't have a lot of money, but we can sell some garbage. All right. He will just get some bread. And there are a couple of bugs. So for example, one time the enemies just stopped moving and I needed to reload the game. By the way, you only have one save slot at the moment. I guess this will be different in the release version, but right now yeah, right now it's very windy and rainy. I will just rest so that yeah. Enemies are lurking nearby. Alright, let's rest. Wake up the team. Alright, let's just
sleep when enemies are lurking nearby.
Yeah.
You can't sleep when
Let me sleep.
You can't sleep when enemies are lurking nearby.
Okay, then I will just show you something else. We can also fill up the lantern in the top left, and then we have some light, which looks nice, but of course it's still not as bright as during daytime. So yeah, so in his fields and the surrounding, you will find these maggots, and there you can also find a bug. Now I use tab, and you can find there's some weird icon thing in the bottom. So this was broken, but now it's working again.
In the bestiary.
Yeah, as I mentioned, one time when I played, the enemies completely stopped moving, then I had to restart the game, and then it worked again. We can't do anything there. And I think the quests are not implemented yet, so even if you kill everything here, it's not like you could hand in the quest. So you have this icon now that everyone is hungry, and you will soon lose hit points, and in a very rapid speed, so it's probably a good idea to keep your guys fed, but I think this is also something which should be changed. And why I just received 10 damage, I have no idea. Maybe maybe I overhealed and now I'm losing hit points again so that I'm back to base hit points or something like that. It's weird. All right, and this was of course because because of the resting, because that spent some time and I built up hunger. All right, there's some piggy stuck in the wall. All right. Yeah, I don't want to kill everything. I just want to show you a couple of things. So now, next up, we will go into the next of the zones, which is yeah, cavern thing, and you could already see that we demolished this this thing by just beating it, like you do in Eye of the Beholder, for example. And this is also something, the enemy is too slow also to attack, so we can just keep it busy by going forward and backward. It will never attack us. So by doing that now with one hand, we have the other hand available to freely do all the attacks, right? And nothing can happen to us. And we're also not running out of space because the enemy will never approach. Of course, now switching back would even become more complicated. Alright, and there's another guy. He's actually standing on a trap, and that's why he's getting damage now and then. One thing which is a bit weird, that every damage we are taking is also creating damage on the weapons. That means if we are getting a fireball, then our weapons will lose durability, which should probably be changed. Yes, we found this pickaxe, and we will need that in a bit, because while you can destroy these boards with normal weapons, there are also some boulders where you need the pickaxes. And of course, yeah, this is just like real-time crawler dance results, right? So let's kill him. And don't worry, we will not spend all the time in this dungeon now, killing these enemies. Actually, there are not that many of these guys in here. And I'm not hitting at the moment. Huh. I'm not sure why. Maybe something broke. No, it's working again. Let's use him for a change. Of course, if you're just waiting, then you will run out of space at some point. And now we got a level up. So you can see the icon here, and we can distribute some points, but
a new page has appeared in the bestiary.
But the other stuff is not implemented yet, so we did not get any new abilities to learn. And because damage is king, I will just increase the strength here, and he's getting dexterity. Actually, there's some other creature running around now. This is a more normal case. They will just die quickly in most of the time. And you can see that we haven't used a single spell yet. We can... Did I rest before? I did. But for some reason, And I also selected some spells. Maybe I need to have a full
You
rest.
can't sleep when enemies are lurking nearby.
Right. So there's a spider cave thingy. So I will also show you some of the spiders here. They will actually also shoot fireballs. But same thing, of course. You will just try to avoid that.
A new page has appeared in the bestiary. Your character has leveled up.
And another level up.
A new page has been added in the bestiary.
And yet another bestiary entry. Oops, that was wrong, but yeah, it doesn't matter too much. All right. Intelligence. All right. So over here you can find a key and some other loot. There's the key, which we will put in here. And you can see that there's something where we will get a fireball. Let's fill up this thing. Alright. So we will get a fireball over here. And alright. And yeah, the graphics are nice. This room looks very nicely designed. We get some magic stuff thingy here, which I think we need to identify. I don't know if we have any like additional scrolls or so somewhere in the game which we can use to identify that stuff. There's actually a secret passage with even more stuff, like probably very healthy and fresh bread. And some chests with some more money. Yeah, and the display for the money is a bit rough, but... And yeah, you can see that our character just received 10 damage. Probably because he has too much hit points. And by the way, I mentioned that our weapons receive damage from fireballs and so on, which makes a lot of sense, but it gets even weirder because our characters are burning. Because there also is a bug, and we can continue this path now, but I don't think there's anything which is worth showing you now. So if you want to see what's behind that gate, feel free to check out the demo version yourself, or check the link down in the video description for my full playthrough, and I will just show you like the last remaining location basically now. Yeah, so what I was mentioning, like the damage, the weapons take damage, but we will also take damage for some weird reason if we run out of if we run out of mana. So if oh god. Alright. So now we have this healing thing, right? And now I will just heal and see what happens. Now we ran out of mana. Oh no, we didn't.
Enough mana.
Ah, actually we didn't get hurt by the mana thing, but okay, maybe
Not enough mana.
it was probably okay, then we don't get damage, but we just got like this overheal, I guess, and this is then indicated as damage because we are losing it again or something like that. So you can see with that character right now, he has 255 damage and 255 hit points, and he is probably losing some of that. So now we are at 300, and I guess, yeah. Yeah, because it's an overheal which is then reduced over time. But this is not damaging our stuff, apparently. Okay, so that's fine. So it's time to heal, I guess. This is what the healer is for. What? Why did everyone...
Not enough mana.
Not enough mana and everyone loses hit points? What the hell? Alright, let's continue exploring a bit. And it feels like now the game is slower. I am not 100% sure, maybe that's just my perception, but it feels like it's not running as well as it was in the cave and before we went in the cave. So there's another like text, and there are a lot of books and stuff over here. So there is quite a bit of lore if you're into that. I guess most of the items you will find are still temporary, because mostly you just find starting equipment, or yeah, so equipment which you already had on your characters anyways, and which will not be of any use. Oops. So now you can see that her weapon actually broke, and you will probably be able to repair it, I guess, but we should probably just switch to something else. So let's take this instead. So that's what's happening because I was not having my fingers on the right buttons. All right. So you can see that there are a lot of flies, but I will not... I'm not sure if there's... there. No, we weren't in vicinity yet. Alright, so now we are in the third area, and this is like this swamp area, which is giving me some Isha vibes. So Isha also had... Isha is a crawler from the 90s, right? From Silmarils. And
A new page has appeared in the bestiary.
Isha also had very nice surroundings, and one of them was like a jungle, and then you had a snow-covered mountains, and yeah, lots of very nice looking areas, which also had some kind of nice soundscape. And well, for back then, even though the Silmaril sound was always kind of bad. Oh, I didn't see that frog. Yeah, but this is looking very nice, I think. And you can see that, yes, the combat is a bit trivial, and basically two of our characters are useless. The weapon balance is off, and so on. All the, let's say, usual problems which come with real-time crawlers are applied here as well. But because the combat is very quick, it's not that problematic in terms of if you just want to run around and explore stuff. It's probably fine. But then, of course, it depends on why you're playing the game or how you're playing the game. If you're playing it for a challenge, then of course probably make the gameplay worse. We hardly get any damage. Alright. So yeah, this would be the last zone, and of course I could just go on and kill everything in here, but I think you got a good idea about what to expect in this game. And of course this were just like 3 of many zones, and you will have quests and stuff like that in the final game, which is still scheduled for a release in 2023. But yeah, I don't know how realistic a release until then is. I think there's also a Kickstarter planned, so yeah, make sure to wishlist the game. Also, if you're really interested in the game, you can join the Discord of the developer, then you will also be informed when Kickstarter goes live. And with that, I hope I have been able to give you a good overview. Let me know what you think about like these real-time dungeon crawler mechanics, and if you know any game where this is actually working nice. I'm always interested in that. For me, it's mostly like it never works nice, but the less annoying it is, the better. Like for example in Stonekeep, like first half of the game, I was fine with the combat. It's also just back and forth combat in Stonekeep. But in the second half of the game, it becomes too grindy, and at that point, combat gets annoying. So it really depends on how strong the focus is. Also, that looks nice here. All right. But that's it from me for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.
Welcome, adventurer, to the world of mystical Kashubia. Learn the story of the Amber Griffin who protected the inhabitants of Kashubia from the forces of darkness for centuries. But beware, human. Weepy will stand in your way. The phantom who devoured his clothes and entrails rose from the tomb and, by ringing the bell of the nearby belfry, killed many human lives. Form a team of 4 daredevils with whom you will travel this dangerous land. Explore the dungeons in search of secret passages. Feel the spirit of epic dungeon crawler games of the 90s. Master arcane Kashubian magic and defeat the demons. Confront the ancient demons inspired by true Kashubian tales, legends, and fairy tales. Welcome to the dungeons of the Amber Griffin.